Chairman and members of the Government Committee for hearing this bill this evening. This is the second one you've heard on this issue of excise tax on our automobiles in the state of Rhode Island. What we are trying to do, what I am trying to do, is to come up with a proper way to come up with a fair value of our automobiles in the way they're taxed. No one likes taxes, but we all know that's part of life. As they say, you can't get away from dumb taxes. Well, one of the things that this bill will do, and I have to mention right away that when I first drafted this bill, I was planning on using the Kelly Blue Book way of value, their process of value, because if you go to the internet, it's a very easy website to use, more so I found than the NADA website. However, after weeks of keep looking at things, I find that the state of Rhode Island is under contract with the NADA people until December 31st, 2013. So I will be amending my bill to stay with the NADA values. Secondly, my bill stated that we would use, I believe it was clean trade-in value. Because I have taken the time and worked with my town tax assessor to come up with a percentage formulation that the Value Commission was using but was out of whack. Outside of better words to use, it was just not. I think everyone might have seen this at the last hearing on Representative McNamara's bill, where it showed a difference in percentages, a higher percentage on an older car. It just didn't make sense. So I've given you, everyone here, a printout of my percentages and some different vehicles on this sheet that I've used the formula on with my tax assessor. And I'll give you one example. I'll give you two examples. A Chrysler 300 four-door sedan, 2006. NADA clean retail, $12,225. The percent adjustment, which is this other page, is 90% of that value, which brings that value down to $11,000. The state exemption is $500. So now that value is down to $10,500 from $12,225. And because all municipalities use a different tax rate, I just used the $25 rate. I think it's a good rate, it's a round number. I think the average actually is $29 per 1,000 on your value, but I used $25 per 1,000 on every one of these that I did. And we did 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So the tax, the median tax rate, $25 on the $10,500, brings the tax rate to $262.50 on that vehicle. So the person that's getting that 2006 car with an NADA clean retail value of $12,225 is now dropped to $10,500 with the exemptions and the percentage, and it's $262.50. If you use the NADA clean trade-in, the tax would be $197.25. So the town or city would be losing $65 in tax on that one vehicle. We have to be careful that the municipalities don't take a hit on the revenue, because it can happen that if you put a much lower value on these cars and go by your tax rate, the municipality could lose 25 to 30% of revenue. And I don't know of any city or town in the state of Rhode Island that can lose that amount of money. We're looking for an honest value of the vehicle. How the cities and towns tax them they're all over the place on that, and I'm not touching that. They know what they need to balance their budgets. But I want to go down to, at the bottom of this page, the 1999 Plymouth Breeze. It's been talked about by Representative McNamara. It was his daughter's car. NADA clean retail, $2,875. A 55% adjustment by this table drops that to $1,581 of value. A $500 state exemption drops it to $1,081.25. And a $25 median tax rate, $27.03 on that particular vehicle. Now, I don't think that's a lot of money to pay for any car that is good enough to be on the road using the streets and highways. So, I would hope that you would look at that. I would hope that my change, like I said, my change will be to get off the Kelly Blue Book, because the state is in a contract with the NADA. And if I can find on this bill, the two main things is to go with the NADA book and use clean retail value of the car, and go with the percentages that I have proposed. Now, there's one other thing, and I think this was brought up at the last meeting too. It's the makeup of the committee. On page 5, line 32, it says the director of the Department of Revenue, or his or her designee from the Department of Revenue, who shall serve as a chair. But on the next page, page 6, line 17, it says the governor shall appoint a chairperson from the commissioner's members. So that needs to be straightened out, and I think that was talked about at the last meeting. This also has pretty much the same the procedure for going to your tax assessor for if you don't agree with his assessment. So, having said all that, I think I covered it. I'm open for questions.
Thank you. Do I have any questions for Representative Azzanaro? Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
We'll now hear from Steve Hartford from Westwood.
Yes. Sure.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Stephen Hartford. I'm the town manager in Westerly. And thank you. And I work with Representative Azzanaro as he developed his bill. And I agree with Representative Azzanaro that something needs to be done. Obviously, that's been discussed a lot in the State House this year. For us, in the trenches, there's two frustrations with taxpayers. One, the taxes are too high, and they feel that as though, and they are, overtaxed on their property, including motor vehicles. That's one frustration. The other frustration, which I think we can, if we put some effort into it, correct this year, is don't tell me my car is worth X. I know it's not worth that much. It's not just the tax they're paying. It's when we're telling them the car is worth more than everybody in the state knows, it's not worth that much in the market. And our taxpayers are very frustrated by that. I have to deal with that, our assessor does, and everyone in our town does. You're telling me my car is worth something, I know I can't get it in the market. So Representative Azanero's bill, I think, goes a long way in addressing that, because he's doing away essentially with an outdated exemption list or percentage values that are tied to specific years that don't, it doesn't move along. And his bill goes by the age of the car. It's not based on a specific year. If your car is within 1 to 6 years, you follow the clean value, because that's, I think the philosophy is that's where people feel their car still has some value and some relation to the NADA value. They think their car is still relatively new and it's still pretty close. But as it gets older, that NADA clean retail value, it's just, there's too much of a gap. So as Representative Azanero's bill, what it does is it reduces it on a percentage basis. And I think in a very, I think it's a logical way that makes sense. The concern I have in trying to pay the bills for our municipality is we can't afford to lose any revenue. So while our taxpayers do need tax relief, I don't think we can give them that tax relief this year unless there's some other source of revenue that the state can reinstate at some point in the future, or whether a growing economy can replace that revenue in some other way down the line. This year, I think everybody understands municipalities can't, by legislation, lose revenues that it's currently relying on. So to correct the valuation so people don't feel as though they're being, as though you're telling them that their values are higher than they know they are, that's one thing. But I think you also need to make it revenue neutral when you do that. And I think you can do that simply, at least for the short term, with a provision that says that to the extent that this, that the revaluation of cars to lower the values would lower the revenue that the city or town is earning in the current fiscal year, that the city or town can raise can adjust the tax rate on the vehicles so, in a manner that does not increase the total revenue that they're currently raising from those same vehicles. So the taxpayers probably aren't going to get specific tax relief, but at least you're not telling them you're taxing them on a vehicle that they know is worth $1,000 and you're telling them it's worth $2,000, because that creates that second level of frustration that makes it all the worse for our taxpayers. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your testimony. Do we have any questions?